Today in this lesson, we are going to be talking about the simple verb tenses as well as the progressive verb tenses. Now, this is meant to be a bit of a review, right? So we're going to do an overview of 4 verb tenses, and we're going to compare the use of these verb tenses. If you watch this video and you begin to think, I know this already, that's a good sign, right? You're supposed to know this already. But this is a bit of a refresher to kind of remind you of some of the rules that you may not be too strong on. So let's get started with a bit of a pre-test, right? Whoops. Now, when I say test, I don't really mean it's a test, right? There are no points involved, but it is a test for yourself to get to know how much do you know already. So in these sentences 1 through 8, I'd like you to write down C if a sentence has the correct verb form, and I if the verb form is incorrect. Also, if it's incorrect, try to fix it. I'm not going to give you the answers now. I'm going to give you the answers at the end of this video, right? So keep watching. You'll learn a bunch of rules and refresh a bunch of rules, but at the end of the video, I'm going to give you the answers, so hopefully you'll be able to understand why each one is correct or incorrect. Okay, you can pause the video while you do that. I'm going to keep moving on with the lesson. Okay, so to get started with our lesson, let's review some of the rules. Which verb tense would you use to talk about something that is habitual? When I say habitual, I mean a habit or routine, right? So something that you usually do or often do or sometimes do. Well, if you said we should use simple present, then you're on the right track. What about something that happened once in the past and it's finished, it's completed, it's no longer happening now? Simple past, good. Something that is occurring right now at this very moment. Present progressive. This verb tense is also sometimes called present continuous, right? So if you know it as that name, they're the same thing. Present progressive, present continuous. Something that was in progress at a specific time in the past. Past progressive. Again, it could also be called past continuous. And the last one is a future event. We have a couple choices. We could use will or we could use be going to. So both are considered future simple. I hope that gives you a bit of a refresher of some of these verb tense names. So you'll start to become more familiar with the names and also some of the ways or the purposes that we use these verb tenses. Let's compare a couple of these verb tenses now. Simple present and present progressive, right? So this is how we form the present progressive. We have subject, am, is, or are, depending on which subject we're using. If we're going to make it negative, we include not. And then at the end, we have verb ing, right? This is what makes it a progressive or continuous verb tense, is it has verb ing. So some of the differences, simple present, we used to talk about habitual actions, right? Like I usually run in the mornings, or I always eat a salad for lunch. Present progressive, on the other hand, talks about something that is happening right now at this very moment, right? So right now I am making a video. Right now you are listening to me and you are taking notes, I hope. Simple present also talks about something that is a fact. This is something that is always true for everybody in the world, right? Not just for you, but for everyone. No one can deny this. For example, fire is hot, right? The earth is round. These are facts, right? No one can debate them. Present progressive, on the other hand, talks about a present situation that is changing. So this is not something that is a fact that is always true, but something that may be true now or these days or nowadays, right? An example of this would be nowadays students are using their cell phones more than ever, right? That was not true when I was in college, right? But it's definitely true now. Simple present is also used to talk about non-action verbs. So verbs are either action verbs that we can act out, like dance or jump or do or make, right? Or they're non-action verbs. And non-action verbs are things like feelings and states of being and emotions, right? So non-action verbs include verbs like be or like or hate, right? These are verbs that we cannot act out, and we cannot use non-action verbs in any progressive tense. So we have to use a simple tense. Present progressive, lastly, is used to talk about a temporary action. So again, this is something that is not always true, but might be true for a short period of time. For example, this semester, I am teaching 2 classes. However, next semester, I am teaching 4 classes. So that's we call temporary because it's going to change. Semester to semester, I teach different numbers of classes. How many classes are you taking this semester? Use present progressive in your answer. Okay, so I have a little bit of practice for you here. I'm going to keep the rules up here that you can refer back to them. But up here, I would like you to take a look at the questions or the sentences 1 through 4. And in the blanks, try to use this verb either with simple present or present progressive with the verb in blue. Pause the video while you write down your answers because I'm going to give you the answers in just a second. Okay, here are the answers. Number 1 is are using, right? The key word here is nowadays. That shows us that it's a present situation that is changing. Or maybe you could also say a temporary action, right? It's not something that's always true. Number 2 is watch. The key word here is often and Friday nights. That tells me it's a habitual action, right? It's something that often happens. Number 3, eating too much sugar is bad for your health. This is a fact, right? No one can deny it. And number 4, my cousins are in the bedroom. They are watching television. This one is happening right now. Many students get confused by this one because they think, well, this verb are is not in the progressive, so maybe it's not happening now. But we can tell from the context of the situation that it actually is happening right now. And this verb is not in progressive because it's a non-action verb. Be is a non-action verb. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a refresher on the simple present versus the present progressive and when we use them in different situations to talk about the present time. Now, let's head back to the past. Simple past and past progressive. Well, first of all, past progressive looks very much like present progressive except for the verb be. The verb be changes to past. So was or were, depending on which subject you're using, plus not if it's negative, and verb ing because it's a progressive tense. The simple past and past progressive have a couple of different uses. Here's one. Simple past is used to talk about completion. The focus is on the completion of a past action. In other words, when we use simple past, we want to focus on a finished action. The past progressive, however, is used to talk about an action, again in the past, but at this specific time, the action was in progress, meaning that the action was not completed, it was not finished, it was still going on. Here's an example. I was cooking dinner at 6 o'clock last night. The specific time in the past, 6 o'clock last night, right? And what was happening? What was in progress at that time? Well, I was cooking, right? Was I finished cooking dinner? No, it was still going on. So therefore we use the past progressive because it was not completed. It was still in progress at this specific time in the past at 6 p.m. Now think about you. What were you doing at 6 p.m. last night? Try to use the past progressive in your answer. Another use for simple past and past progressive is this. Again, the simple past focuses on completion, a past action that was finished. Past progressive talks about a continuous or longer action that was interrupted by a shorter action. Let me give an example here. We were studying earlier this morning when you knocked, right? So the action that started first and it continued for a while is were studying, right? We were studying, and suddenly something interrupted our studying. What interrupted it? Well, you knocked, right? So again, we will use past progressive for the longer action that continued for a while and the action that started first. The interrupting action, we will use simple past, right? Probably you knocked once and it finished, right? So we'll use simple past for that. All right, so the last thing is I promised to give you the answers to the pretest, which I will. Please take out those answers from the beginning of this video, and I'd like you to check your answers here. Okay. You can pause the video as you read through, but if you have any questions about why this one is incorrect and the ones that are blank are correct, okay, you can reach out to me and ask me, okay? Right, I'll put it down for the last ones so you can see as well. Okay, students, so thank you so much for watching, and we will continue to practice in our class and at home. Just remember that these verb tenses, you don't just learn them once and you're done, but you have to continue to refresh and review and practice and use them a lot in order for them to sound a little bit more automatic to you.